Hello everyone and welcome back to round 3 of this F1 2017 ULC Season 3, and today we are actually here at a very wet Spain, as you can see, for qualifying for round 3 of the season. And there is also a new face alongside me in the commentary box. We've got Joe, otherwise known as VRT Ringrose. How are we doing tonight, buddy?
Not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to tonight's, well, wet qualifying session, and we'll see what happens in the race.
Yeah, really good to have you on board as well, buddy. I think we've got our first car actually just going out onto the track right down at the very end of the pit lane there. Who was that? It doesn't want to tell me. I think I just went over there. There we are. BPRL Nor just going out onto the track for the first driver on the full wet tyres at this moment in time. So clearly very wet here at Spain. And so far this season, it has very much been, you know, a tale of two men, really. RG Matiz and the Flying Fin. You know, those two really been trying to push each other to the absolute limits week in, week out, as well as obviously AOR versus STSS F1 as well. You know, it's been so far very interesting, but we've had the same three drivers on the podium in both races there, of both the STSS F1 brothers, of Finn and Alonso, and then obviously we've had RG Matiz, who has tried to split them, and unfortunately so far, I think he was able to, sorry, last week, but back at Australia, all those, well, it was only 2 weeks ago. It almost seems further now, but yeah, he was able to do the job last time at Bahrain, but not, unfortunately, at Australia. But yeah, we are here for round 3 of the season already. You know, 30% of the way through. We're almost coming up to the halfway point of the season, and STSF 1 do lead the way, obviously, with those 2 wins, courtesy of the Flying Fin, and obviously Alonso. You know, I wouldn't say exactly that he's slacking by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly, you know, no one seems to be matching the Flying Fin at the moment. Whether, you know, those wheel issues that he has been speaking about this week are going to hinder him tonight, we shall wait and see. If it's a full wet race, I imagine it's going to do him far more damage than I think anyone would expect. But so far, I'm just on board with him as he goes on his out lap here, and it doesn't seem too bad at the moment, but obviously out on a warm-up lap can really tell a very different story to how it is racing. I don't know, Joe, how much racing have you done around this Spanish circuit? What would you say is probably the top things to be looking out for?
Especially, I mean, I've done a bit of running around Spain. I mean, I haven't played much of the game, but it's definitely, the final sector is very important. It's tricky. It's sort of the most technical part of the circuit. If you muck up there, you know, it's not going to be good, especially if you get an invalidation right at the end of your lap. So that, especially also in the wet conditions, the final corner might catch some people out. You might expect to see a couple of the drivers running out wide, so we'll have to wait and see there. Curbs might be a bit of a danger, because it is, well, soaking wet, and they'll be quite slippery. So some interesting things to look out for in this qualifying session, and we'll see what happens in the race.
Yeah, we certainly will. I'm going to stay on board then with the Flying Fin for his first run in qualifying. I'm going to try and have a look actually on the TV pod at the moment. Obviously, these guys can't run racing line in here, so they will, you know, you've sort of almost got to guess to a degree about where you want to be braking. And I can't imagine too many of them will have done too much wet practice running. You know, a lot of drivers really sort of just focus on their dry times. And sometimes, obviously, that is very good. Sometimes, as we've seen today, you know, when the track is, you know, more reminiscent of a lake, as it is today, sometimes that can really hinder you. I sort of find, you know, you get locked in to those dry braking points. It's really tough to try and adjust, you know. But BPRL Nor sets the benchmark there of a 1 minute 33.314, 3 tenths quicker of Trumper Rumper there. But STSF 1 also goes 2 tenths quicker as soon as I was saying that. And OMG It's Joe basically splits the difference between the pair of them there. So you've got EVR Cal coming through for P4, so very tight at the moment. And obviously, you don't want to speak too soon, as we've still got 7.5 minutes of this session. But it is, you know, people are submitting times, and it does seem that a lot of people are very close there. Arctic Avengers and Monkey Face seem to be a little bit off the pace, as we are on board with the Flying Fin in through this final sector, down through this very tight final chicane. Important, you know, get good traction out of here. Won't be flat, I don't think, through the final corner just yet. We'll wait and see. Yeah, huge lift there as he went through the final corner, down towards the line, and he is going to go P5 there, so 3 tenths off his brother, which is very interesting. Where is Limitless? Unfortunately, I don't think he's around this week. Well, he clearly isn't, because we have once again got RG Matiz, and if I am not mistaken, NLR Evo in the Sauber car. It seems that he is not here once more there, as Feisty Ted actually sets the fastest lap of the session there in that Ferrari car there, 3/10 quicker than anyone else, and surely, you know, that is setting down a benchmark nice and early. You know, come at me if you dare.
Yeah, Ted seems to have a pretty clean lap. I mean, he's the only guy so far in the 32s. Majority of the guys are in the 33s, and then you got sort of the bottom 5-ish drivers in the 34s. It is interestingly only down in P11, but he gains 4/10 and he's up into P3 pretty much. So it's a very, very small gap between everyone currently.
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. And the track seems to be improving every second.
It definitely is very, very tight.
It's going to be one of those
from
sessions.
P2 all the way down to P14, they're separated by 0.8 of a second there. So that really just goes to show how quick it is. Langman goes up into P3 there with a very, very good lap in that Renault car, just ahead of OMG It's Joe and NLR Evo there in the Salvers. I think we've got the Amazement goes up into P3 of the session there. Obviously this track overall quite high downforce as well, so I guess their setups, you know, you won't have to make too many major alterations. It will usually just be a case of up in the wing, but RG Matiz up into P1 there in a 32.7. These guys, this is going to be happy hour, I'm going to guess, you know, with how much quicker these guys are going to be able to get. Feisty Ted comes over the line, does not improve, but I think he's going on for a run, so I'm going to stay on board with him for now. But let's see, have you found anything interesting going on, Joe, around the track?
Not well. Langman seems to be a couple of attempts. No, that's Amazement, sorry, correct me. There's a couple of attempts up on his first sector. I don't know whether he's got fuel. I'll just double check if he's got fuel to complete the lap, and indeed he does. So at the moment that put him above STS F1 Alonso, which would be a bit of an upset, I would say. No offence to Joe, but Sonic goes fastest. As I'm talking about Sonic, so I think it's just everyone on their first lap taking it cautiously, get a banker in, and then you can find the braking points as you go along. I'm sure a lot of these guys would have fueled up to do a few laps.
Oh, just watching Feisty Ted there made a very, very big mistake there in towards the final sector there. Just came back onto the back straight there and just ran a bit wide into the very, very dangerous gravel trap there and just made a tiny, tiny error, which unfortunately has ruined his run. But having a look further down the order, we've got EVR Reynolds there. Just, you know, what's that, in 0.8 of a second behind Feisty Ted. And the Flying Finn now has gone quickest as well, so clearly those wheel issues don't seem to be costing him too much time as of yet. But I'm trying to have a look. I think STSF also is on another run, and Cal has been disqualified there for blocking the pit lane. Not really too sure what has gone on there. I don't know if we can try and find him down towards the bottom of the field. No, unfortunately, I don't know if he just had issues. I know personally I've had a couple of times where I've come out the pits, the pedals haven't been plugged in, or this, that and the other, and it obviously has unfortunately left you with a very, very unfair disqualification there. But yeah, no idea what's happened to poor Cal, but that is his qualifying session completely ruined with, what, 3.5 minutes to go there, and starting right at the very back of the field, and obviously a full 20-car grid, really, obviously what we want to see in this series. But that is going to be really, really costly for him in the race, with his teammate Joe up in P6 at the moment. That's an intriguing line through the final chicane there. Not really too sure what the stewards are going to think of that. I think unfortunately for him, I've caught him at exactly the wrong time there, as that's also a very interesting entrance to the pit lane, so I think we'll gloss over that one for now, and we'll keep having a look at the other cars around the track, see if we can find someone on a run. I think we can find RG Matiz talk us through this final section then, Joe. Only a couple of corners left of the lap.
Yep, he's going to take this right-hander down into third gear. You don't want to clip too much of the curb, as I've said earlier, it's wet, but these final few corners you're going to have to touch the curb somewhere because they are just so tight. Around the final corner, a bit of a lift, and then it's just sort of run to the finish. What can he do? And it will be pole, provisional pole, 32.4. As you saw Joe there, I think he was stuck in a 2004, Matt.
He was stuck in a 2004?
With the old layout.
That's a very, very interesting problem to have. Don't think that's particularly common in Formula 1, I won't lie. But now we go on board then with the Flying Finn, locking up those front tyres in towards T1. He is certainly on a push at the moment here, and I think, to be honest, it might be a case of who can get on their flying lap you know, almost last, really, you know, last on track would really, really benefit you here. And first to 13th there, which is actually both of the AOR Sauber drivers there are separated by just 9/10 of a second. So this is really, really tight at this moment in time here. We're going to stay on board though. Well, I'm personally going to stay on board with the Flying Finn. They're going to get rid of all the UI as for right now, and hopefully we can try and stay on board with him as we come through this second sector here. 2 corners that actually I'm quite a fan of around this Spanish circuit. VSR Leopard has retired from the session. I'm not too sure if that's damage or not there, but it's Flying Finn. He is, you know, clipping the apexes as you'd rightfully expect from a double, you know, AOR champion there. Braking just as he saw the black box on the right-hand side as they come down in towards the hairpin corner. One of the slowest corners on this Spanish Grand Prix circuit. They're being very, very cautious over those curbs, you know, over that little elevation change as he comes through in towards the final complex of corners here. Not taking the old layout like we saw Joe do just a couple of minutes back, but down in towards the final chicane there, all the way down into 3rd gear there. Interestingly taking that a little bit higher than we've seen a few of the other drivers there. Short shifting all the way back up into 5th, maybe even 6th on the way out there. A huge slide as he comes out of the final corner there. But unfortunately, it is not going to be P1 there as RG Matiz has gone even quicker there. 1/10, well, less than a 10th. The gap between the pair of them here, but let's then go on board with SCSF Alonso just behind 3/10 off these top 2 now, as they've both really, really got, you know, their final few flying laps in. NLR Evo goes up into P3 there. I was saying, you know, it was a second off his teammate there, but now he's just 1.5 tenths behind. I think that is more what we were expecting to see. But down towards the line there for STSF Alonso is going no improvement there, but he has got enough time to go on to another run, so perhaps we could see another improvement from him. As I think he might have actually been one of the final cars. OMG, it's Joe just barely misses out getting over the line there. I just got on board with him. He went over the line probably a couple of tenths after the checkered flag came out there, so really, really unfortunate for him. But I reckon the place to be right now is on board this Mercedes of STSF Alonso. Got onto his final lap just in time here as it goes through in towards this 2nd sector there, all over the place. All-rounder jumps up into P4 there as well, so he's done really, really well to get up into that position. As he's come to the end, Midget goes up into P5 there, so another good lap by him. You can see Flying Finn getting out of the way of his brother there, as you'd rightfully expect. But let's go on board, let's stay on board with SCSF Alonso. RG Matiz couldn't find any more time on his run. There a huge slide from STSF Alonso. They're pushing that car to the absolute maximum there. ESR Simon comes through for P4 as he budges down All-Rounder and the mighty Midget here. But where is SCSF Alonso come? If he butchers this run as he gets jumped by the Amazement by just 0.02 of a second there. If he ruins this, this is going to be really, really bad for him. Feisty Ted up into P2 on a 32.2 there, the second driver to get down to that. But through the final couple of corners of this lap, where is STSF Alonso gonna finish? Currently down in P9 there as he comes at the final corner. Once again, that back end trying to break away over the line. It is pole position, a 32.1 there. Absolutely fantastic lap by him. And I can't imagine, you know, I think the only person we've got left going around. No, that is it. STSF Alonso on pole position for this Spanish Grand Prix. And Joe, I'm going to let you talk us through the grid there, buddy. You know, who do we think we're going to have to watch out for in this race?
Yeah, as you just saw, on board with the lap with STSF1 Alonso, cracking lap there from Sonic, with Matiz will be lining up for AOR alongside Feisty Ted in P3 and Flying Finn down in P4. In P5 we have NLR Evo with Reynolds and Simon lining up on the next row. We have All-Rounder, Midget and Amazement running at the top 10, Jaws 94, Langman, Joe, RBZ, Nor, Chumper Rumper, VSR Leopard, Arctic Avenger, Monkey Plays, and I think Cal's at the back because of that unfair disqualification, but it is what it is. Shame for Cal, but I reckon Cal should be one to watch out for, and it is dry, Matt.
It certainly is there. I noticed that even with those changing conditions, the top 16 by the end of that session was separated by less than a second, which really just goes to show how competitive this tier is. You know, exactly as you'd expect. Obviously, you know, these are all the best guys that they, you know, their leagues have to offer here, and it's going to be a really, really interesting race. It's going to be interesting to see, you know, if many people have tried to go for a bit more of a wet setup, and they might be set to struggle in the race here. But we're just waiting for everyone to ready up on the grid there. Obviously, sorting out their setup, sorting out their tyres. They will all have free tyre choice for the start, so I think that's going to be important to try and get on board with for the start of this Grand Prix. But it's going to be really, really interesting to see such a long run down in towards T1. If I'm not mistaken, it's 800 meters there or thereabouts down in towards T1. So certainly, you know, if you get a good start, then you could definitely make a couple of places in towards T1 there. But here we are then on the grid. STSF Alonso on pole. It's 5 lights and it's lights out, and away we go for the start of round 3 of ULC. Here you can see actually RG Matiz jumping straight up into the lead of the Grand Prix. They're down in towards T1. He will have the inside there, and he is hopefully, I think, going to take the lead there. He takes a tiny bit of contact, but Alonso's come back in there through turn 2 and turn 3. Side by side they still go, and Alonso has swooped right around the outside there. Fernando Alonso-esque there, and he moves back up into the lead of the Grand Prix there. The Finn tries to look down the inside of RG Matiz as well there, so maybe the Mercedes already trying to work out team tactics there. RG Matiz, though, once again trying to look round the outside of Alonso. This is fantastic side-by-side racing on the opening lap of this Grand Prix. But Alonso has got the inside in towards the next corner there, and there's no way RG Matiz is going to be able to go side-by-side. He almost does on the exit of the corner there. Finn and Matiz now side-by-side as they come out onto the back straight there, and Finn's round. Finn is around there, so he's going to be set right back to the bottom of the field there. I don't think anyone else got caught up in that, as now RG Matiz once more tried to have a look up the inside of STSF Alonso there, but Finn all the way down to P18 there, and that is absolutely critical.
Evo's down
as well there, so one AOR driver and one STSF1 driver sent way back to the rear of the field there. We've still got 2 right at the front and 2 right at the very back of this field here. In terms of the tyre choices, let's actually have a look at who has gone on to what there, as NLR Evo has to unfortunately pit. You can see a lot of drivers on the softs there. RBZ on a set of the hard tyres there as he's losing the place to OMG. It's Joe. But yeah, very, very interesting first lap of the Grand Prix. Joe does move up into P6 of the Grand Prix. We've now got Trumpa going up the inside of RBZ through turn 7 there. And these two are both actually on the hard tyres here. So that is very, very interesting to see at the start of this race. The all-rounder has made up 4 positions on the opening lap of that Grand Prix. So that has been an absolutely sensational start from the Renault driver there. Had a tough start to the season, but it's really, really good to see him back in almost the, the fighting form that we saw back at the F1 Esports event all those months ago. But Trumpa on those hard tyres is up 9 places off the start there. So I think he has certainly been the one to make that, make that start his own there. But yeah, really, really interesting to see the Flying Finn. Oh, I think there was just a lot of side-by-side action there, a little bit of dust being kicked up. But the Flying Finn all the way down in P16 there. He has dropped 12 positions. NLR Evo has dropped 15 off the start, and that is really, really not what those boys wanted to see coming through in towards the final sector there. He tries to have a look up the inside of the Haas driver there, of Monkey Face Plays. Yes, he does. Sends one very, very much with a purpose down the inside there, and now he could try and have a look up the inside of EVR Cal through this final corner there. What is he going to be able to do? Let's have a look on the TV pod there. The Flying Finn and EVR Cal side by side down in towards turn 1. McLaren Honda versus Mercedes there, and it appeared it was almost too realistic there. I think Cal, faced the fact that he wasn't probably going to be able to do much defending there, so gave up very, very early down the straight there. Not really worth him fighting for that position at this moment in time during the Grand Prix. But yeah, as the positions stand though, SCSF Alonso leads this race just 3 tenths ahead of the Sauber driver of RG Matiz as they come through this second sector there. And Joe, who would you say probably therefore, who do you think we're going to have to look out for? Who made the gains off that first couple of laps?
I mean, you mentioned Trumpa. I think he's the big winner of the first couple of laps, making up 9 positions. I believe he started down in P19, P16, sorry. So he'll be one to watch out for. Leading guy that's not on the softs, he's on the hard tyres, so expect a very, very long stint from him and RBZ. It'll be interesting to watch out the comeback from Finn. Obviously falling down, he's still on the softs, he didn't come into the pits, so doesn't seem to be any damage for Finn, and that's a Red Bull round. That is the amazement. So he's had an incident somewhere or other.
Yeah, I was just actually on board with
himself that. Down in P18 now,
it appeared he made contact with the Williams car there of, I think it was ESL Simon there. Unfortunately, a bit of contact which sent the Amazement out wide. I don't know for sure if it was a tiny bit of lag or not. But yeah, the Amazement sent all the way back down to the bottom of the field there, and that's going to give the Flying Finn one extra position in this race. Now all over the back of the Toro Rosso. They're nearly a bit of contact as they went through turn 3. I can't imagine BPR Midget's going to give him the easiest time of his life. You know, I've raced with him before. He's more than happy to try and defend that position there. But the Flying Finn up the inside once more. Midget almost pushing him to the inside there. But the Finn's going to send one down the inside there. Getting very, you know, both these guys getting argy-bargy. There's even more contact as the Finn tries to squeeze Midget out on the exit of the corner there. And Midget, you know, not willing to back out. Their contact between Midget and the Haas drivers there as he's now in a bit of a Haas sandwich. And the Flying Finn, after all of that, has found himself back behind the McLaren of EVR Cal there. So a little bit of contact, you know, between the pair of them there. And it's clear, you know, that the Flying Finn wants to make these moves nice and quickly. But if people, based on that, don't really want to be getting too much in his way, Midget has tried to fight him there. And I don't think it's worked out too well for him. EVR Cal kicking out that back end through the final corner as well. But I wanted to have a look. EVR Reynolds, All-Rounder, OMG It's Joe, and Feisty Ted there all have a really, really good opportunity to claw back some big points on AOR and SCSF1 so far this evening. It could be absolutely crucial for them in the long run here. You know, where you've got NLR Evo all the way at the bottom of the field there, and you've got the Flying Finn still outside the points. Whether we'll make it back in or not, we shall wait and see there. But yeah, this is absolutely crucial for a lot of these guys. If you look at SRL, if I'm not mistaken, the two Ferrari drivers there have got both their cars in the top 8 there, and obviously usually we'd expect the top 4 slots to be filled up by AOR and SCSF1, so it is, you know, really, really, you know, golden opportunity for these guys to try and make gains. But if you were in one of these positions, would you want to work with another team and try to, you know, score both of you more points, or would you just try and fight them as much as you possibly could, Joe?
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone's racing sort of for their, you know, specific league. I think as far this season, you are ST big dogs, sort of the Ferrari and the Mercedes equivalent pretty much, but you're going to see your SRL, your RGL, your TWRL sort of push up there, and as we can see at the moment, Ted 3rd, All-Rounder 4th, Reynolds 5th, Joe 6th. Well, the other AOR and STS guys aren't even in the points with Finn and Evo. Evo's good 10 seconds back of the Amazement, who's, well, a second off of Nor, and Nor's another 8 seconds off of Leopard. So Evo's got some work to do if he wants to get some points. I mean, I think he's going to have a lot of luck to find himself back in a points-paying position, and that's Leopard and Cal at turn 1. Sorry for interrupting myself there, but Cal seems to have some wing damage, so falling down the order, Cal seems to be struggling after getting that disqualification in qualifying. It's not been the best of days for Cal there.
Yeah, I think so far definitely one to forget for the poor McLaren driver there. But having a look further up, just outside the points, I actually watched the Flying Finn, well, fly past Jork down in towards T1 there, and he is now one place outside that top 10, and it is looking like a very, very contested little group of drivers here. We've got Trumper Rumper and RBZ, ESR Simon and Langman there, 7th to 10th there. We've got ESR Simon with the disconnection arrows there, which is a little bit worried to see. But yeah, we've got the two Williams trying to work together there. The driver on the harder tyres actually ahead of the driver on the softer tyres there, and ESR Simon caught behind both of these hard runners here, and it appears Langman is just holding back a little bit at the moment. Potentially, you know, we could see, you know, if those guys try to really sort of push each other, Langman could try and slip by, you know, 2, maybe even all 3 of them, depending on the situation there. But I think this is getting very, very spicy. Just ahead, RBZ there tries to think about having a go, but I just noticed on board, actually, RG Matiz is all over the back of STSF1 Alonso here. So we're 7 laps into this race, already 20% of the way through, and it is still very, very tight between this top 3 here. 3/10 the gap separates them, and except for RG Matiz, you know, we saw Feisty Ted and STSF1 Alonso have a very, very good fight, actually, with the Sauber driver's teammate last weekend. So clearly, you know, that these guys all very, very close still at the moment. All-rounder just hovering back 3 seconds behind, actually, these guys at the moment, but he's got himself in a nice bit of clean air as Langman makes a move on ESR Simon there. Unfortunately, we did just miss that. Always the way, you know, the broadcast cameras moves just away as there's a bit of action there. But now we've got the Flying Finn, who has made big strides on this whole group of people at the moment in time. BPR Nor has picked up his first 3-second time penalty of the day, which was unfortunately completely costly for their team. Potential of scoring 1 point last time out, unfortunately for BPR and Midget. Unfortunately getting a penalty on the second to last corner of the race, which unfortunately cost him 1 solitary point at Bahrain last night, which would really help BPR out. You know, would have been their first points in ULC, but hopefully we will see that come at some point during this season down in P13 and P18 at the moment. It's now we've got VSR Leopard diving it into the pit lane there. He has got next to no left-hand side of his front wing there, so clearly I think he's had a little bit of damage as well from potentially the incident with Cal. We won't quite know as of yet. We'll have to wait obviously for the drivers. Once, you know, usually the way it works, they'll post on Twitter afterwards how it works, as well as obviously we'll have the top 3. And here is RG Matiz, I just noticed, was, well, he was 21 thousandths behind STSF Alonso, was all-rounder there, unfortunately picks up his first penalty of the evening as well there. But yeah, RG Matiz could potentially be lining up a move on STSF Alonso fairly soon in this Grand Prix. And, you know, would you think about trying to go for the undercut on him at this point? The undercut has been proven to be very, very powerful on F1 2017. Or would you just want to stay out that bit longer and have the fresher tyres towards the end, Joe?
I think just due to the nature of the game, the undercut always seems to be the fastest sort of option, really. We saw a similar situation in STS with Matiz, and Matiz is going to go on the outside of STSF1 Alonso going into turn 1. Can he keep it? Can he make it stick? They're going to make contact, but STSF1 Alonso defends hard. But into turn 4 we go. Is Matiz going to try it round the outside? No, he thinks better of it, but he's going to get a better exit into 5. Alonso's still on the inside. They make more contact. Only a bit of wheel banging though. Doesn't seem to be any damage on either of the cars. Ted just sort of watching this from behind, praying that they crash into each other and gift him the lead of the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But DRS on this straight, maybe this lap we could see one of them in, maybe Ted, while they're battling. He might come in, get the undercut on the 2. And, well, it's been pretty difficult for Matiz to get past Alonso so far this race, so maybe we could see that bit of defensive driving from Ted later on.
Yeah, I think, you know, Ted at the moment, if I was him, I'd go for the absolute golden opportunity and try and jump the pair from there. But fantastic side-by-side racing, neither of them willing to give an inch there, and I don't think that is going to stop just yet. RG Matiz down the inside, almost Schumacher towards the wall there, Schumacher Barrichello style, down in towards T1, but breaking down in towards T1, he will have the inside there. Is he going to be able to make that move stick? I think he is. STSF Alonso has unfortunately, no he hasn't, sorry. He's kept it on the inside through turn 3, barges RG Matiz right the way off the circuit there. Certainly, you know, no love lost between the pair of them as they come through turn 4 and turn 5 there. But yeah, this is absolutely incredible racing at the moment, and Feisty Ted, yeah, as I said, this would be an absolutely golden opportunity for him to try and jump the pair of them. That Arctic Avenger picks up his first penalty of the day, as well as I think BPR and Nor unfortunately did disconnect there as we were watching this fantastic side-by-side action 1 lap ago. But you can see the top 4 now really, really have bunched up there. The Flying Finn still all the way down in P7, but RG Matiz got an absolutely fantastic run down the back straight there, up into the lead of the Grand Prix he goes. Is the STSF Alonso going to be able to do anything about that for now? No, he is not, as they come through in towards the final sector. No real overtaking places through these final few corners, just so tight through it, almost like a street circuit-esque, if you will, as we come through down in through the final chicane. They're attacking the curbs, all 4 of them there in a train now, as we've got 4 drivers, if I'm not mistaken. All of them were in F1 Esports for STSF. Alonso dives into the pits.
Alonso and Ted into the pits.
I think, yeah, Feisty Ted in as well there, so both of them have gone for the same strategy there, so very, very interesting to see. I don't think Allround is going to be able to get the jump. Sorry, I don't think Feisty Ted's going to be able to get the jump in the pits. No, he doesn't. He gets held there. Actually, quite a lot, quite surprisingly there. He found himself a lot further behind STSF Alonso on the way out there. But RG Matiz now has got to absolutely sprint over this lap, you know, to try and make that time up and really, you know, sort of, you know, work this strategy out for himself. And that leaves him, EVR All-Rounder and EVR Reynolds on the podium at the moment here, with OMG It's Joe still just a couple of tenths behind. And this moves the Flying Finn up into P9 of the Grand Prix here. And he doesn't seem really actually to be making that much inroads on ESL Simon and Langman just ahead of him. We found him this far behind just a few laps ago, and it doesn't really seem to have changed there, which is quite surprising. But this moves Trumpa all the way up into P5 of the Grand Prix, still on that hard set of tyres. It's been a fantastic drive by him so far. ESL Simon and the Flying Finn just behind him, would seem using all the track space, and maybe even just a bit more as they come through these next couple of corners. But is RG Matiz going to dive it into the pits? We will find out in just a couple of seconds. Yes, he is. So this could be absolutely crucial here. Where is STSF Juan Alonso? We'll stay on board with him. He has got clear air on this outlap here, so this has been, you know, timed pretty well for him. Feisty Ted there has actually been caught out behind Arctic Avenger there, which could prove absolutely crucial because he's already lost, what, nearly 3 seconds to STSF Juan Alonso here. But RG Matiz in the pits, and Trumpa up into the lead of the Grand Prix. Where is RG Matiz going to come out relative to this driver, though? He is still in the pit lane here, I think. Is he going to be able to get that job done on the Mercedes driver? I think he is. Yes, he is.
Very good.
That is fantastically done by RG Matiz. They're up ahead of STSF Juan Alonso there, and he's got a good 1.3, 1.4 second gap to the driver behind him there, and that is, well, very, very well done to him there. So, you know, I think he sort of proved us wrong, really, hasn't he? There, just we were going on about how OP the undercut is, and he's done the exact opposite and made it work.
Similar sort of thing with Allrounder and Reynolds, but we know Ted got held up for whatever reason in the pits. But Ted's now on a net P5, I believe, because Allrounder will now be net P3. And Allrounder's really close on to STSF Juan Alonso. Alonso seems to have dropped off of Matiz. Matiz is going to get held up slightly by Monkey Face Plays and BPRL Midget here. Whatever Monkey's going to pit, we'll have to wait and see. Going through the final couple of corners now, and Finn has finally managed to get past Simon through the pits. Finds him 9 seconds behind Joe, so he's got some work to do, but we all know he's got the pace.
We certainly do. Just having a quick look through the chat. Someone's saying that it looks like yellow damage for Ted there, so I think that might be why he lost out so much time. Yeah, Allrounder has jumped Ted as well. So really, really interesting to see, as we've got Langman actually in the pits for the Renault team there, as we've actually got Arctic Avenger trying to think. I don't know if he was behind or in front of Joe there. I think he was actually in front, but yeah, he unfortunately has just lost that position. I think I'm going to stay off with him because he seems to be very, very laggy at this moment in time. But yeah, having a look back up, Trumpa still leads, and everyone now, bar the 2 BPRL drivers, are on the hard compounded tyres here. Unfortunately, Midget, you know, is the only BPRL driver left, as I think Noah is still disconnected, if I'm not mistaken there. So I think that'll be his night well and truly over there. But interestingly, you know, the Midget has gone for a little bit of a different strategy overall, so it could work out for him in the long run. We shall have to wait and see, but he has now got RG Matiz all over the back of him here, down, breaking in towards the hairpin once more here, just getting so much time, obviously. Although it's a harder compounded tyres, it is a much a fresh set of compound tyres there, as we've actually got Feisty Ted and Allrounder locked into battle. I might actually get on board with EVR Reynolds here. He's probably got the best seat in the house for this one, and if these guys all keep fighting, you know, Joe's all over the back of them as well, this could be absolutely crucial for the Flying Finn, because he could potentially close all the way back up there. Matiz now jumps Midget there as Midget dives in to the pit lane, and Midget has got a 5-second stop-go penalty there. When will BPRL get some luck in this series? Really, really unlucky for him now. I don't know how quickly he went into the pit lane, whether it was actually that unlucky or not, but it's such, you know, a crucial error that a lot of drivers really, you know, forget to make here and there. But yeah, now every driver left in this race is on the hard tyres here. We've got RBZ has actually jumped Trumpa there. Unfortunately, we did miss that one as well, but that was a change, albeit for the lead. Oh, no!
All-rounders out. Sorry to interrupt you there, Matt, but I believe it was Reynolds or it was Ted, and they made contact, and once again, all-rounded DNFs from a race on F1 2017. His horrific luck continues. He's in such a good position. Net P3 once Jork, Trumpa from RBZ came into the pits, but it's all fallen apart for the German driver there, and his stricken Renault is just into turn 4 now.
Yeah, absolutely.
With,
you know, gutted for him,
missing a right front.
Really just haven't seen. Well, I think tonight was probably the first time we've really seen all-rounder really, you know, the old all-rounder that we all remembered back, you know, towards the end of 2016 and, well, back at the esports event as well on F1 2017, and I think that was really just showing, you know, how good a driver he was, but unfortunately there, well, I can only imagine a very, very high-speed crash there, you know, to lose it down in towards turn 4. You know, you're coming out of a very, very quick turn 3 there, but yeah, very, very unlucky for him once more there, but let's go on board. Further up the road, we got OMG Joe still behind EVR Reynolds, and now STSF1 Alonso, 5 seconds behind RG Matiz, and it's weird to think, you know, what, 5 laps ago, he was ahead of him, so, yeah, clearly, really not gone too well for him. I don't know if he's been, you know, caught out behind, you know, obviously slower cars or whatnot, and they've made his life more difficult than RG Matiz, but we just saw as well, BPR on Midget with another 3-second time penalty there. Now, he's unfortunately, I think, it might be another one to put away as Cal has retired from the Grand Prix. What has happened to him? It appears nothing. Has he had a McLaren Honda breakdown there? I'm not 100% sure. I think he's just had enough. Packed his bags and is ready to go back to the airport. Move on to the next one. Yeah, very, very unfortunate for him there. So 2 EVR drivers obviously racing 4 different teams in ULC. Yeah, unfortunate for both of them to find themselves falling to the wayside. That leaves EVR Reynolds in the Force Indy there for the F1 League, all over the back of STSF1 Alonso here, and this could be very, very interesting. If I'm not mistaken, everyone but the top 3 now, if I'm not mistaken, have made pit stops. Let's have a quick look. Yes, they have. Oh, yeah, sorry, and RG Matiz jumps Jork there, so now we have got Arctic Avenger, sorry, as well, and BPRL Nor, who is right towards the back. Well, he's disconnected, hasn't he? So unfortunately, you know, I don't think really he's going to see anything else in this Grand Prix there. But yeah, interesting, you know, a lot of these guys now have made their stops. It's going to be interesting to see where we can find the action. And I think the action right now is from, well, net second all the way down to net 5th place here. We've got 4 different drivers even from 4 different teams. We've got the STSF Alonso in that Mercedes, EVR Reynolds for the F1 League in the Force Indy there, Joe for TWRL, and Feisty Ted for SRL here. And this is looking like it could be a very, very feisty little battle. But once again, this can only help for the Flying Finn, who effectively finds himself behind these guys in a net, what, P7 of this Grand Prix? Sorry, P6 even of this Grand Prix there. But yeah, really, really interesting to see. I've just been informed, actually, that someone hit the wall going into the pits and got damage, which I would presume would either be all-rounder or Alonso there. We can try and stay on board with him. Yes, he does. Or sorry, STSF or Alonso.
Alonso's, yeah.
He has got a tiny bit of damage there on the front wing. So no idea.
On the left front.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, someone said he must have dinked that in the pit lane. So yeah, really, really unfortunate for him there. I did think, you know, when he went in, that was very, very squirrely on the way in. He got a bit too close, you know, a bit closer than I personally would, into that pit wall there. But at least now we know why he is, what, 7 seconds back, 7.5 seconds back from RG Matiz here. And although I don't want to jinx it for him, it's looking now like it is his race for the taking. I can only apologise to AOR if I've completely ruined that. It's certainly not his race for the taking. Hopefully that evens it back out. But EVR Reynolds here is using this opportunity. He could get P2 in this Grand Prix, and for the F1 League, that would be very, very crucial. You know, that is a big haul of points for that team. So, you know, usually we don't see anyone sort of get a look any more than sort of 10 points here. You know, if you get double figures for one driver, it's very, very good, unless you're AOR or STSF1, as you're saying, oh, what's happened?
Yep, just behind the battle of Reynolds and Alonso, Joe and Ted made contact. Joe's just got past Ted, but seems to have wing damage, so this could again play right into Finn's hands. And I mean, obviously it wasn't ideal that he spun, but she could be on for a very, very good recovery drive here. Essentially, he's not too far off of the podium. He just needs to get past Reynolds. That might be quite difficult, considering the gap, 15 laps to go. Seems pretty difficult to pass around this track so far today, but Avenger's now in the pits, and how far is he behind these guys ahead? They're going into turn 1, and he's sort of going into turn 1 now. 6.3 seconds according to my screen. With Joe having wing damage and Sonic having wing damage, it could work out for Finn, but 15 laps, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, still a long, long way to go in this race. Quite a lot has happened, really. when you think back to it. You know, definitely a race to remember here. And I was just going to say, Feisty Ted and OMG It's Joe pushed each other to the absolute limit there. Feisty Ted's move down in towards the hairpin just one lap ago seemed almost touring car-esque. And I was going to feel a little bit sorry for Joe, but he basically did the same thing just a couple of corners later there. So I think, you know, all's fair in love and war as Reynolds locks up ever so slightly there. I don't know if he's got front wing damage off that, but goes straight up the rear of STSF on Alonso. I don't think either of those two will really like that, but obviously Alonso, with that reduced downforce from the damage, really has to try and protect his car at the moment, and it could really work out well for him as RG Matiz, a 121.4 on that set of hard tyres there. He is on a hunt for Trumpa and RG Matiz there. So I think you potentially, depending on how long these guys go, Jork could play an effect on this Alonso-Reynolds battle. You know, we may wait and see. He's only at 4 seconds up the road here, so they could potentially close that gap back up, as now the Flying Finn less than 6 seconds behind Joe ahead of him there, so he's taken a good sort of 3 seconds out of him over these last 5 laps here. But I think, yeah, the battle that we want to be with at this moment in time is between Feisty Ted, EVR Reynolds and STSF Ron Alonso there. Reynolds and Alonso both run very wide through turn 4 there. Feisty Ted going to send one down the inside of Reynolds there. A little bit of a late lunge in personal opinion there, but he's made it work almost. He's got the inside for the next corner there. Reynolds going to have to back out nice and early, and that doesn't really want to risk this big chunk of points at this stage of the Grand Prix there. And now Feisty Ted moves up into net P3 of this Grand Prix here, and STSF Alonso still holding on to P2. It's giving him a tiny bit of breathing space there, but nothing that I don't think is going to last too long there, as Joe all over the back of these guys, and then the Flying Finn now just 5.3 seconds behind, so he's taken another half second out of them this lap alone here. And, you know, potentially we could see Alonso try to really sort of group these guys back up there. I think we've got a little bit of lag from Ted and Alonso there, as Matiz, he's I think it's fair to say he's almost just showing off now. He's just, you know, setting a couple of fastest laps. May as well. There is Reynolds actually gets a magnificent run out of the final corner there. I don't know if that was a little bit of lag between Feisty Ted and STSF Ron Alonso there, but down in towards C1 there. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? Down the inside there, Ted really squeezes him on towards that curve there, but he does the same on the way back. A tiny bit of a squeeze. He's going to try and keep it up the inside there, but Feisty Ted shuts the door, and now Joe might be able to try and get a look up the inside of the Force India driver there. He shuts that door just as much as Feisty Ted did to him, you know, barely half a corner ago. Don't usually think we say that, as Arctic Avenger spoils RG Matiz's party and goes purple in this Grand Prix here. But this battle really tight still. And look, yeah, RBZ, sorry, we must note, has come out in P8 of this Grand Prix here, so he could really try and fight his way through. Reynolds there has picked up a 3-second time penalty, which is really not what he needed in this Grand Prix. But could we see RBZ quicker tyres, fresher tyres? Do you reckon he could make his way through this group?
I'm sure he can. Joe's got wing damage, so I don't think Joe will be too difficult to pass for RBZ. He's already on the back of him. Reynolds seems to be struggling in the past couple of laps, and Ted obviously his teammate. Maybe if he's thinking for the best interest for the league, he might let him through. That could be something to watch out on. And Sonic also got wing damage, so I mean we could see him on the podium as NLR Evo comes into the pits and picks himself up a 5-second stop-go penalty. So that seems to be the end of Evo's day, unless something really major happens. I don't think we'll see him in the points today, unfortunately for AOR. But their other driver comfortably leading the race by, well, a net 14 seconds to STSF1 Alonso when Jock has to come into the pits.
Yeah, I was just having a look as well. Trumpa has actually moved past the Flying Finn here, so, well, I don't think actually might not have even jumped by him in the first place, but he's on a set of the soft compound tyres here, so potentially we could see him move his way through. EVR Reynolds, I don't know if he's got front wing damage or not here. It doesn't appear that he does, but maybe, you know, it is a little bit of, because he went up the back of STSF Alonso, you know, quite quickly there, so I'd be surprised if he did come out of that unscathed. But RBZ's moved past him. He is now trying to have a look past OMG It's Joe here, but if he gets through, Trumpa gets through, RG Matiz could pull out points by himself over the STSF1 team. You know, if those guys both struggle there. OMG It's Joe pulls to the inside there, very defensive. Jork finally dives it down into the pit lane. They're going to be interested to see where he comes out. RBZ, though, pulls to the outside of OMG. It's Joe down in towards T1. He will have those fresher tyres. He's going to use them to his advantage. Swoops right around the outside of OMG. It's Joe there. Fantastic move made by RBZ. And he now finds himself behind his Ferrari teammate here. So going to be interested to see if we see some Ferrari tactics come into play. Trumparumpa moves up the inside of EVR Reynolds there. So fantastic move by him. But EVR Reynolds certainly going to come back fighting for that one. The Williams and the Force India side by side. He's going to squeeze him out on the exit of the corner there. And now EVR Reynolds find himself just a tiny bit ahead of the Flying Finn here. And he just doesn't seem to be able to close up that gap much more. I don't know if he's been caught up by the cars behind there as ESR Simon makes a bit of a mistake. But yeah, it just seems the Flying Finn, this whole group ahead of him, you know, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's fighting all of them for position there, as I think the Ferraris side by side in towards the final couple of corners there. Feisty Ted not giving up the place to RBZ just yet there, as I think he made, you know, he had to try to look up the inside of STSF Alonso just one corner ago. But what do Ferrari do right now? What would you do if you were in their position?
I think for the best interest of the team, you'd probably let RBZ through, just because you know he can get past Alonso pretty easily with the fresh set of rubber on his Ferrari. And then if maybe he could force Alonso out wide and allow Ted to get ahead, but I think that's Alonso off.
Yeah, Alonso has slipped back there.
Yeah, he's run wide there.
A big hit, a laggy contact there. I saw
Trumparumpa's into P3.
Trumparumpa up into P3
wow.
of the Grand Prix. He's absolutely sliced his way through this field here, and this could be an absolutely monumental day for the Williams team. The RVZ in P2 on that harder compounded tyres here, and I think, to be honest, this is looking like a golden opportunity for Trumparumpa there. But if you've just noticed as well, STSF Alonso all the way down to P5 here. He's now got Reynolds all over the back of him once more here, and now he is in a McLaren sandwich. And you know, if they stayed like this, what I think we'd see STSF1 take home 16 points to RG Matiz's 25 by himself here. So this could, well, you know, RG Matiz, sorry, he's got an 18-second lead. He must just be there, just trying to nurse this car home. He certainly does not need to take any risks, as we have got a huge train. We've got RBZ, Trumparumpa, OMG It's Joe, STSF Alonso, EVR Reynolds, the Flying Finn, ESR Simon, Feisty Ted, and Langman. Oh, well, Langman, you know, is a couple of seconds back, but all these guys in this battle here is now Trumparumpa up into P2 of the Grand Prix there. Fantastic move by him. RG Matiz tries to look back up the inside there, but the Williams driver very, very firm with his defending. There's certainly no place for him to go there, and that Trumparumpa up into P2 of the Grand Prix. I don't think when we came into this race, any of us expected that. RBZ dives one down the inside. A very, very aggressive move there. As there's contact between the pair of them, they really don't need to try and throw away these points. They're almost 3 wide as OMG It's Joe tries to have a look there. And this is fantastic battling. The Williams keeps it up the inside, keeps his foot in there, and he moves back up into P2 of the Grand Prix. This is incredible racing. What, this is a train of 6-7 cars here are all so close. This is certainly the final 10 laps to Grand Prix we have not seen in a long time here. Feisty Ted, ESR Simon having a battle just towards the back of this.
It's literally from P2 to P9 currently, Matt, and Langman's not too far behind. He looks like he's going to join in the party, so it is literally a battle for the points with Matiz, well, 8 laps to go and 21 seconds in the lead. So Finn managing to get himself up into P6 now, past Reynolds. Can he make it stick? Yes, he can. Now he has to get past his brother and his teammate, STSF1 Alonso. I don't think that should be too difficult. Nope. Alonso lets him through, but he doesn't want to let Reynolds through or Ted through, so he goes slightly defensive, manages to hold on to the position, and then next up for Finn is RGL's OMG It's Joe, who's got a bit of wing damage, so that could play into the hands of the Flying Finn.
Yeah, this is getting very, I think the right way to describe it is feisty here, as Feisty Ted sent a very, very bold move down the inside of ESR Simon here, and these guys, they're in P8, P9, and they're, what, 3-4 seconds? They can still see the cars on the podium here, and Langman has probably got the best seat in the house for this at the moment. EVR Reynolds trying to look, as we try and move the wrong way up the camera shots there. EVR Reynolds up trying to think about a move up the inside of STSF1 Alonso here. But who would have thought, after the Flying Finn span on, what, the first lap, second lap of this Grand Prix, that he'd be back ahead of his brother who led the race ahead of RG Matiz here. But we got Trumpa making that breakaway here, as well as RBZ. So maybe, you know, we could see those two on those softer compounded tyres really try to gap the guys behind. OMG, it's Joe making a couple of, well, I say defensive moves, a couple of weaves down the straight there. But this is absolutely incredible racing at the moment. We've got a couple of people predicting Finn to go all the way up to P2 in this race. Whether we'll see that or not is a very different question. I personally think, you know, a lot of these got all the hard runners can really now only aim for his P4, and as of right now, the McLaren driver of Joe has got that position. You know, he's in the best opportunity to be looking after that, but he's got so much front wing damage here, and the Flying Finn, you know, he will know about that by now, surely, and he'll just be trying to wait his time and line up that move for when he needs to there as they come through the onto the back straight there. Joe just can't take anywhere near as much momentum there, and already the Finn's trying to look up the inside. Yes, he does, sends a very bold one up the inside there. You know, you really have to be committed with your move. Squeezes Joe out onto the curbs there, and now moves up into P4 of this Grand Prix here. And now, if the race ended like this, STSF1 would only lose 5 points to AOR here, which I think, you know, is still quite surprising to say, because in NLR Evo, unfortunately, we just have not seen any of him this race, all the way down in P14 here. But yeah, this is well, one of the best races I think I've ever really commentated on. As Joe, I don't think he's done yet here. He might try to think about a move back on the Flying Finn here, but I think that front wing damage is really not going to, you know, it just doesn't have the straight line speed to really try and be able to make anything from this here. As I think, you know, really, if I were him, I'd be focusing on the cars behind rather than the cars in front. ESR Simon, Feisty Ted and Langman still locked into battle here. As I think Langman, he's been able to save his tyres over the last couple of laps, and he's thinking about up the inside of Feisty Ted there. A little bit of laggy contact, I think, made between the pair of them there, but I think Langman up into P8 of the race. I think Feisty Ted is going to try and send one back down the inside. Not going to be able to make that move just yet, but Jork on that set of the soft tyres there is just behind these guys, and potentially he could make a big pile of points in this race. Langman picks up a penalty there for actually running wide. That's very unfortunate for him. He might be able to get that removed. The amazement, unfortunately, Jork's teammate there picks up a 5-second a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pits. I can't get the right words out. It just takes me enough attempts. But yeah, I think we've still got a little bit of interesting battles. EVR Reynolds has moved up 2 places past... he's moved up 1 place, as BPR, Midget and Leopard have been fighting as Evo all over the back of these two. So we'll give them some camera time. I think it's only fair. The top guys seem to have almost calmed it down just a little bit for these next couple of moments there. But we've got these three still very tight, and it's just so close up and down the field here. The gap between Finn and RVZ now up to 3.6 seconds there. So whether he's going to be able to get that, that podium is going to be very interesting to see there. But ESR Simon picks up a 3-second time period there, which could prove crucial for him. Midget and Leopard locked into battle there. A bit of contact made between the pair of them here, and Evo could really capitalise from this. If Leopard just squeezes Midget out on the way through there. Leopard goes very defensive. Now going to try and move back out to the outside line there. A little bit of an interesting defensive move there, but it's harsh, it's fair. We've got 5 laps to go on this Grand Prix. I don't think anyone would be doing anything different there. Midget tries to keep it around the outside there. They both run a little bit wide. Evo going to try and look up the inside of Midget here. Midget loses the back end, gets a wheel on the grass there, and now that's 1 down, 1 to go for NLR Evo here. But let's try and move back up towards the front of the field. Feisty Ted, ESR Simon still locked into battle as we move. Just 4 laps to go. Well, 4 laps, sorry, for RG Batiz to go in this Grand Prix, but everyone else still a little bit further back. Excuse me there. As I think, yeah, we've got Evo who's trying to have a look up the inside of a Leopard there, just all over the back of him, almost pushing him through this final sector there. And Leopard, AOR Tier 3 driver, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's leading that championship at the moment versus an AOR Tier 1 driver on a much fresher set of tyres here. Through the final corner they go. Leopard running a little bit wide there. He's actually going to get quite a good run from that. I was quite surprised by that. I thought he'd understeer a huge amount more than he did. Sometimes, you know, I forget how grippy these 2018 cars are, but MLR Evo going to try to look to the outside here, down in towards turn 1. Leopard gives him the squeeze. Evo sends it right around the outside. There's no room left for Evo through that corner there. Leopard very, very aggressive with that defensive move, but OMG, it's Joe and STSF Juan Alonso are now in a battle, and I'm going to have to leave this to you, Joe, because I need to catch a breath, certainly, mate.
Yeah, both of the drivers have got wing damage, and, well, STSF Juan Alonso cannot allow Joe to stay in front, because it will just mean even more points that AOR gain. Finn just seems to be losing time to RBZ and Trumper. Both of them have got fresher tyres than Finn, so it's going to be difficult for any of these drivers to catch up in the next 3 laps as the Amazement sets the fastest lap on a 20.4. Alonso forces Joe out wide, and Ted seems to be through, unless he, manages to make it stick, and now we've got yet another train map.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible, you know. I was just thinking, it's not often we see, what, 6-7 cars fighting for positions, you know, this late into the race as well, but Joe tries to look up around the outside, of the Ferrari driver. We've got the Williams and the Renault just behind there still fighting over positions there. Simon barges Langman off the circuit there. Very, very robust defending there, but now where is Jork, actually? I was just about to notice him. He has unfortunately dropped all the way. No, he hasn't. He's back up to P10 there, so a little bit of lag there. I was quite surprised that suddenly he dropped 8 places. Yeah, Jork still, I think, has got an absolute golden opportunity. He just needs to get on with it now. The nicest way to put it here, because he could potentially get sort of P5 in this race if he just uses these tyres and tries to, carve his way through these group of cars here. But we've got 3 laps to go of this Grand Prix. This could get very, very tasty here. The Flying Finn has now built up that gap, but we have now got the Ferrari versus the Mercedes here. Something obviously we see a bit more in real life, unlike 7-car battles. But yeah, this is going to be very, very, well, I'm going to use the pun again. It's going to be very, very feisty between, these guys on these last 3 laps of this Grand Prix. And any point gained here could be absolutely crucial when we come towards the end of the season there. As we come through the final corner once more there, Feisty Ted, if I'm not mistaken, has got absolutely no damage there, so he has got the advantage there as they come down in towards T1 though. He just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed there, only getting 198 miles an hour down in towards T1 there, and that is quite a surprise on the whole there. So maybe, Alonso loses so much time through the corners. OMG, it's Joe drops all the way back down as Jork and Simon. Jork tries to go up the inside there, and I think he is going to be able to make that move stick in the end. Simon tried to squeeze him over the inside curve there, but Simon runs wide, onto the grass he goes. Jork up into P9, and he's really, really got to try and find his way through. STSF Alonso and Feisty Ted, though, still side by side there as they come down in towards turn 6 and turn 7 there. Feisty Ted all over the back of him still. And, for Alonso now, he just has to hold on. Absolutely has to hold on, Mercedes, STSF1 desperately need these points. They're only going to lose out a couple of points to AOR in this race. And considering, the race they've had, I think that would be an absolutely incredible feat there. Obviously, Evo has been a bit unlucky, and I don't think he's going to score points in this Grand Prix, especially not. I think he's got a couple of penalties as well. But Feisty Ted almost pushing the Mercedes through the final couple of corners here, but he just doesn't seem to have it down the straights. And this is really, really going to be interesting to see over these final couple of laps of this Grand Prix. Langman just behind. OMG, it's Joe just dropping back a bit more, and now we've got Jork trying to look up the inside, potentially. Well, not up the inside necessarily there, but he's got all the grip in the world. He could go up the inside, around the outside, anywhere he really feels at this moment in time if he's just confident enough to make that move there as they come through turn 1, turn 2 and turn 3 here. Gains so much time. Quicker tyres, fresher tyres, and a fully intact front wing up the inside of OMG. It's Joe. He gives him the squeeze once more. He's going to squeeze him out wide on the exit of the corner there. And Jork up into P8 of this Grand Prix. Joe, is he going to keep it up the inside? Yes, he does, but Jork, as I said, he can go up the inside, around the outside, anywhere he really feels. And he now moves up into P8 of the Grand Prix. But Ted still pushing STSF Alonso through these corners here. As RBZ as well, that's something else we might have to watch out for on this final lap of the Grand Prix, is, what, half a second behind Trumper here. So still a huge amount of battles going on around this circuit here. This has been a race I don't think any of us will forget anytime soon that Monkey Face plays unfortunately picks up a time penalty there, but RG Matiz still leads this race 25 seconds comfortable with less than a lap to go here, as we've still got Feisty Ted pushing STSF on Alonso. He's got the DRS, he is in the slipstream once more, but is it going to be enough? Down this front straight they go. Surely, you know, it is now or never for the Ferrari driver. 1 lap to go of this Grand Prix. Amazement picks up a penalty, but he is, well, 40 seconds behind anyone else in this race, so I struggle to think that's going to make too much of a difference at this moment in time. But Feisty Ted just doesn't seem to be able to make it when it really, really matters, and this is almost frustrating for the Ferrari driver here. Is he going to send one up the inside? No, he doesn't. Thinks better of it just for now. So I think we've got RBZ and Trumpa having a battle for P2 of this Grand Prix as well. Who will come out on top of this? We've got Feisty Ted and STSF Alonso behind as well, almost mirroring the moves that we saw a second ago. Alonso will have the inside for now. That just makes his car as wide as possible there. But is RBZ going to be able to make a move around to the outside in towards the hairpin? RG Matiz, unfortunately there we missed, comes through for the Grand Prix victory there. Has done absolutely everything that he needed to in that Grand Prix. Very, very well done to him there. But still, unfortunately, the action is all behind him here. So we've got Trumpa just about... Oh no, RBZ there sends one up the inside. Trumpa holds it though, reads that move like a book. Holds on to P2. Finn is right there as well. Trumpa P2. Who'd expected that from what, P16 on the grid? And the Flying Finn does get that third place there, thanks to RBZ's penalties there. Feisty Ted,
penalty, yeah.
1/10. Well, Jork, sorry, moves up to P6 after Feisty Ted penalties there. Langman at P8, OMG, it's Joe P9. ESR Simon in P10. There is EVR Reynolds. Comes across the line explosively, I think is the right way to describe it. Evo in the other Sauber car there, down in P12, with Arctic Avengers P13. ESR Simon 14th there, and what a race that was. Hopefully we can try and get the top 3 in 4 interviews. If you could just invite them over in a second, Joe, that would be greatly appreciated there. Yep. But that's certainly... Cool. Well, I'm lost for words overall, you know, lost for breath as well. I don't think, genuinely, I can't even think of a time in real Formula 1 in the last few years that we've seen such a race like that. You just can't put it into words, really, can you? And when you get races like that, they are just so much fun to, you know, just watch. And especially, you know, with guys of this high caliber, all of them going at it just so much. It's poetry in motion, I think is the right way to describe it there. But yeah, brilliant racing overall by all of the drivers there. Yeah, I can't believe it's over. You know, we could have, I reckon personally, I could have quite happily sat back and watched another 33 laps of that. Incredible racing overall, but RG Matiz wins the Grand Prix by 30 seconds overall. Joe, do you want to run us down through the order, buddy, or shall I keep doing that whilst you get the podium sit?
I've invited them, so I'll go for it for everyone. Matiz takes you in with a surprise Trumpa on the podium, starting from P16. Flying Finn makes a brilliant comeback to finish P3. RBZ P4 and Alonso just behind him. Jork, Feisty Ted, Langman, Joe and Leppen round out the top 10. Then we have Reynolds, Evo, Avenger, Simon, Midget, Monkey and Amazement finishes a lap down, with Cow and All-Rounder and Nor being your retirements.
Yeah.
So I believe Matiz is in the party.
We've got one, yes, we certainly.
If you want to get underway.
Yeah, obviously. I think we've got 2. Hopefully we can get the third driver of the Fly Fin. Usually he comes to join us, so we should wait and see just of yet there. But I think, you know, we'll start off then with our race winner. Brilliantly done by RG Matiz there. And we were saying in the com box that we were thinking, you know, the undercut would be crucial to whoever was to win that race, but you seem to do the opposite there, and it seemed to work out for you. Talk us through your race, buddy.
Yeah, I thought the same, to be honest. I thought the undercut would be pretty big since the dirty air is just ridiculous around this track. So Sonic once overtook him, I think, or was it? Yeah, I think it was. He like directly pitted, and I wanted to get the undercut on him, but I couldn't respond in time to go in behind him, so I just pushed really hard on my in-lap. And I think he must have had some traffic, because I came out like over a second in front of him, so that worked out pretty well for me.
Yeah, brilliant.
Considering the incidents, I think you guys got it on stream. Must have. With Flying Finn.
Yeah, we did catch that. Not really 100% too sure what happened from that. Luckily, we've obviously got both you guys in as of now, but I think, you know, we'll leave Finn to discuss that one just in a little bit. But yeah, once again, congratulations, mate, on P1. Joe, any questions to ask, or do you think overall he's given us a good roundup there?
Oh yeah, he's given a good roundup of, well, a dominant display here today for Matiz.
Yeah, so then in P2, personally, my driver of the day, Trumper there, P16 on the grid, made up 9 positions in the first couple of laps of that race. I'll say as well, the chat has gone absolutely wild for you tonight, buddy, as well. Congratulations on that P2. Just talk us through your race, because it seemed to be one that was almost the opposite of everyone else's, but in the end it did work out for you.
Qualifying went pretty bad, P16, so I thought I'd just try something different, go on the hard tyres, and hope chaos happened ahead of me, which it did, because in lap 1 I went up by positions, and then obviously me and RBZ were trading times, and he had the slightly quicker pace towards the end of the hard stint, so I thought I'd just pit a lap later and just go on softs, risk it for a chocolate biscuit, as they say. And yeah, it paid off.
It certainly did, buddy. Joe, any questions to ask?
I mean, what a drive, Trumper. All the way from P16. How did you manage to find your way through the carnage of the first couple of laps?
I just don't know. I just looked ahead of me. Coming into turn 10, I believe, they were going 4 wide, so I thought it was only going to end badly there. I just putting the brakes on a bit earlier and see what happened. I think the undercut on like 3 different people at that one point.
So yeah, I'm sure it's a surprise to you, but congratulations on P2 in ULC Tier 1.
And then,
Matt, would you like to move on to the Flying Finn?
Yeah, we will move on to the Flying Finn, which I think had one of the most up and down races I think we've seen all season long. I don't think any of us, after that first couple of laps, expected you to get all the way back up onto the podium there. But congratulations, obviously, on P3. Talk us through your race then, especially obviously with that incident right at the start.
Yeah, that one just saw Sanch in the lead, so my aim was just to get into P2 and defend it for him. And yeah, on my screen, Matiz just turned in on me. I was right there on the inside, and he just turned in, hit the apex, and hit me at the same time, and spun round, dropped to last, and yeah, from there on it's just recovery. But I'll have to see Matiz's footage first, but I know there's desync usually between us, but yeah, until I see his, I'm not gonna comment on his driving in that occasion. But yeah, on my screen, just I was on the inside, I was on the apex, and I was nearly off track as well, giving so much space. And on my screen, he just took the apex like I wasn't there, and with no force feedback, you can't really counter steer. So yeah, spun around, and from there on, it's just recovery. And yeah, I was just surprised to finish P3 at the end, because like pace, I think it was constantly 4 tenths, 5 tenths off, just struggling with this wheel. And yeah, and in dirty air, obviously not really much to do. And yeah, I was just surprised to finish P3, and I think it was a surprise that RBZ got a penalty as well, because he's a really experienced driver and usually doesn't get penalties. So I'm just happy to finish P3, but gutted for Feisty Ted and Alonso, because I think they were going second and third, and lag happened and both just blow up. So yeah, just bad luck for us today, but we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, I'd imagine you guys have still got the championship lead though, which I think obviously will be the most important thing there. But Joe, any questions from you, buddy, before we round out?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, well done to the 3 of you. All of you did very well in your respective races. Completely different races for the 3 of you, but all in all, a good job for you guys. Well done.
Yeah, very much. Congratulations to all 3 of you there. But there we are then. That has been the Xbox One side of the ULC Championship. I nearly called it STS F1 then, but that is certainly not quite right there. But yeah, the PS4 side is now live on the ULC channel, so we would highly recommend to go and check that out. One more race for your evening. Whether it be as action-packed as that, well, you guys are going to have to wait and see. But thank you as well, Joe. It has been a pleasure to have you in the comm box this week. Hopefully, we can see you right through to the very end of the season as well. But that has been it from ULC this week. We will see you guys next week for round 4 of the season. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is the Austrian Grand Prix. I'll have to check the calendar after the race. But yeah, thank you all so much, and we will see you guys next week.